evening, everybody, and how are we all doing today? What day is it? It's Sunday, of course. It is Sunday, the 8th of December, 2024. Hope you're well. Hope you're having a great weekend. I know Storm Darrow, however it is pronounced, has been the big thing this weekend, and hopefully you haven't had any damage. If you have had any damage, let us know in the comments. Now, talking of comments, let's see if we've actually got anybody out. Oh, I haven't gone. Let's hit go live on Instagram. Let's see if anybody is out there. We've got Adrian. Oh, Adrian is there saying hello, Richard and all. Hello to you. We've got Kate there saying good evening, Veg Army. Good evening to you. We've got Ballycillian saying good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. Turbo Streamers there saying good evening, Veg Podcasters. Over on Instagram, Emma Russon has joined. Welcome along. Lovely to see you. Scott, Seed Table Plot 13 is there. Evening all. Good evening to you. Allotted Chef Nathan is there saying good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. Stuart Jackson. Evening, Richard and the Veg Army. Hope you have all stayed safe this weekend. Indeed, that's a question I want to know. Have you stayed safe this weekend? Gary is there. Good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. David Williams. Evening all. Greetings from Swansea. Good evening to you. Richard Golding. God, I'm here on time. Hello all. Good evening to you. And well done for being on time. Rob is there. Good evening all. Can't chat as watching football. Good evening to you. Digwell. Hi all. Video breaking up already at my end. Could be a bumpy ride tonight. I am keeping an eye. I cannot see any problems with my internet, but it has been a little all over the place with bad weather. Anna Jones, good evening, gardeners. Talking about internet, I'm seeing signs that our full fibre is starting to be put into our local area. So soon we will have amazing internet. David Williams, blew my shed down. Was due to be knocked down in spring. So, hey ho. So the weather's done the job for you. That saved you a task, hasn't it? And Digwell says 2 3-inch fence posts snapped in half. Still 50-mile-per-hour gusts here at present. We've been lucky here at home. We've had no damage at all with this storm. But I have to admit, I haven't really left the house all weekend apart from to walk Roxy. Haven't been down to the allotment at all. I'm of the belief, and I'm welcome to you're welcome to disagree with me over this. But when we got bad weather like we have had this weekend, I think it's far safer to stay at home than even to attempt go into something like the allotment. My reason for that is okay, I'll probably be okay, but if something was to happen to me on the allotment, I probably won't be spotted or anything like that. I'm going to be well hidden, but I'm also then going to put the emergency services at risk as well. So I'm of the opinion I'm going to play it safe and stay home. It worked out quite well because I've been planning what I'm going to be doing in my allotment and my garden in 2025, which is what we're going to be talking about today. Turbo Stream says probably the worst winds we have had here in 53 years living in Birmingham. No damage at home, but haven't been to the allotment. I have pinched nerve in my neck in total agony. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. That does not sound very good at all. But yeah, I think I'm of the opinion it's best to stay at home. David says, trouble is with my shed going down, my greenhouses are so packed there's no room for mgit anything. I'm assuming that's meant to be. Anna says 2 fence panels down, 3 broken roof tiles, and after a weekend of torrential rain in the northeast, garden mostly underwater again. It's not pleasant, is it? David Williams, my 3 words. My 3 words. I'm a bit lost there. Sorry, you're losing the conversation. But yeah, this weather has not been pleasant. I know throughout 2024, weather has been a big topic because it has been a very, very tricky year. And I'm hoping 2025 is going to be much better. That's one of the things I'm really, really hoping. Oh, my gear. It's meant to be my gear with you. Scott says lost a bit of fence panel at the allotment, but do most years and can be repaired. That's been good. Food Forest Permaculture, welcome along. Lovely to see you. Greetings, Earthlings. Greetings to you. Hope you are well. Turbo Stream, I will make it to the allotment this week at some point, I guess. That's my hope. I'm either going to get to the allotment this week or next weekend. I think the weather is going to be a little bit better next weekend. Anyway, shall we get into it? Shall we really find out what 2025 or what our plans are going to be for 2025? Now, you're going to hear a lot about my plans on tomorrow's podcast. But the thing I'm really focusing on at the moment, or 2024, has been such a crap year here in the UK. Slugs and snails have been a problem. The weather has been the main problem. I think 2025 can only get better. But I've been trying to gear myself up for the point that I feel we can make it better ourselves by just trying to be a bit more prepared, because wet weather is going to or could be a problem in the future years. So I've been focusing a lot on getting my drainage a little bit better in my garden beds, improving the soil, of course, with plenty of compost, and really focusing on as well on having things like cloches and things like that, in order to really try and make 2025 as productive as possible. So, my plans include growing lots more vegetables, including crop rotation and things like that. But what I really want to know is, what are your plans? What are your plans for 2025? Does anybody, I think the first question I'm going to ask you then, do you have any goals or anything you really want to grow or accomplish in 2025? Let us know. Chili Kate has joined. Hi, everyone. Sorry I'm late. Not a problem. Not a problem. Lovely to see you. Thank you for your email the other day. I keep meaning to reply. I just keep forgetting, how bad I am with emails. But so for me, 2025, I haven't worked out what is something that I want to grow that I've never grown before just yet. But I really am focusing on making my garden and my allotment as productive as possible. And I've came up with an acronym to describe my sort of style of garden. And it's an acronym called SNAP. And SNAP stands for simple, natural, and productive. And that's my whole thing throughout 2025. We're going to be keeping it simple, which is something I always bang on about. We're going to be keeping it natural. So that means no pesticides. We're trying to encourage birds and wildlife into do pest control and things like that. And productive in order to produce as much food as possible. SNAP is the acronym that I am using. David Williams says 3 words gives you an exact location of your whereabouts, easier for emergency services if required. But yes, you're right. Avoid the possibility if you can. The trouble is, this is the way I looked at it. If I got knocked out on my allotment and I'm laid on the grass, blood pouring out of me, I can't ring anybody because I'm not conscious. How is the ambulance or the emergency services going to know? Chances are there's going to be nobody else on the allotment. There very rarely is at best of times. So that's where I'm being cautious about. David Williams says new shed as his plans for 2025. Good idea. Good thing. Definitely something we want to do. David Williams also says totally rearrange the whole plot, to be honest. Why do you want to rearrange your whole plot? What is it you want to do? Cillian says, my main aim is to give my plants more room to grow. My biggest downfall is planting too many plants in each bed. That's interesting. And I think that's a very good point, because that's something we do tend to do, try and cram as much into our beds as we possibly can. I actually started putting my onions in a little bit closer to try and reduce the amount of weeding we have to do. But I'm with you, definitely with you. Over on Instagram, the Scottish guy that treads has joined. Turbo Stream says, got Goals to achieve decent onions. My stored onions have mostly rotted in storage, even though they seemed firm. Not growing red onions again. That's a shame. That's a shame. But yeah. Stuart Jackson says, I have big plans for 2025. My veg garden is moving. Lots to do over the winter. So why are you moving your garden, Stuart? Let's find out a little bit more on that. Chili Kate says, I want to get the whole plot in use at last. In terms of growing new things, I'm trying to grow the humble pumpkin for the first time. Excellent. Hargrave Gas says, whoops, sorry, I think that's meant to be sorry I'm late, but welcome along. Turbo Stream says, we lock our allotment gates if needed an ambulance. How will I to gain access if I'm on my own? Again, that's one of the things I think of on our allotment. You know, it would need somebody to open the gate to let them in. And it is a good chance they would probably get the ambulance stuck in the mud as well. So lots of things to think about. Digwell says, haven't seen the waterlogged clay on my new plot. I am even more determined to be 100% raised beds and straw bales. Yeah, straw bales, actually, that's something I do want to do here at home in 2025 that I haven't actually mentioned. Over on Instagram, Scottish Guy That Treads, biggest plan for 2025 will be building raised beds for garden for my second year growing. Just need more pounds to fall from the sky. Yeah, that's the trouble we all have, isn't it? We all want to do the most. We all want to spend a lot of money on our allotment, but it doesn't fall from the sky. But there are things we can actually do to make it a little bit more cost effective. You don't have to do it all at once as well. Kevin Kelly says, I'm going to bubble wrap my greenhouse this week to trap in some of that heat and keep it a little warmer. It's something I've never actually done here, but it's definitely something that a lot of people do. It depends how cold it gets where you are as to whether you need to do it. If you've got a heater, then I would recommend doing it anyway. Hargrave Gas, whoops, sorry I'm late again. Hope everyone has had a good week. Hope you've had a good week too. We're talking about your plans for 2025. But added to that, we want to find out if you've suffered any damage in the storm. David says, just a change to give me a lift, to be honest. Been through a downer last few years, so just need a change. Yeah, I get what you mean, actually. Sometimes just a change, a bit of a facelift, or just a project. If you've been a little bit down, I think a project, something to really focus on, does do wonders if you have been a little bit down. So yeah, definitely with you on that. Anna Jones says, I always plant too close as well. I need to learn to throw away excess seedlings. Yeah, that's a thing I'm guilty for as well. What I'm trying to do is to be able to sell my excess seedlings at some point. As you know, I want to run my own plant nursery, so I'm going to try and do it for that. Stuart Jackson, my veg patch is moving to give more sunshine. Hopefully, it will be twice the size. Excellent. David's talking to Turbo. Digwell says, as a lone worker on the plot, you should tell someone when they can expect you home or call someone when you are home. Not only in bad weather, but a bit like when you're out hiking. I agree with that completely, Digwell. You know, letting somebody know when you're on the allotment, when you're going to be home, etc., etc. I think I've said the story or on my old allotment. And one of the reasons I gave up my old allotment, I drove to my allotment one Saturday morning. It was the Shoreham Air Show weekend. And I got to my allotment, popped my phone in the shed and carried on working. It wasn't until early afternoon I looked at my phone again because I was so in the job that day. And I realised I had loads of missed calls because that was the day that the air crash at Shoreham happened and killed out. Had I been 10 minutes later, I would have been possibly in amongst that air crash as well. And a lot of people were worried about me that day. So definitely always let somebody know where you are. And if you live alone, then giving somebody a phone call to say when you're home, it can work. Digwell also says, a guy on our site collapsed and was not found for 4 hours. Would have been longer if the person who found him was not on a plot further down the path. That's my point exactly. Completely my point. Scott says, I want to create a big wildlife area around the pond. Try straw bale garden and more companion planting. Actually, companion planting is something I'm getting into a little bit more in recent years. Definitely marigolds and nasturtiums going into every single bed on the allotment and at home, just because it makes so much sense to do. But also things like onions and stuff like that, chives, I believe, can go in as well. Turbo Stream says, I agree with Digra, but have no one to tell. Roxy, yeah, I think if you can call someone, or I don't know, I don't quite know what to do there in that case. It's something to think about. Kate says, I've got one more raised bed to get, then it's getting my garden in order, as it's the first chance since we've moved in. Make it more disabled friendly so I can do more. Now, I find this interesting actually, Kate, because you have just moved house. You've got some raised beds. I think this is the ideal time to build the beds. Obviously, when the weather's a little bit better, it's not pleasant this weekend. But what are your plans with your garden? What are you planning to achieve with your garden once you get all your raised beds built and going? I would love to know a little bit more on that. So I've realised I've realised when I recorded tomorrow's podcast, I didn't even give straw bale gardening a mention. So I might have to change that because that's something I'm going to have to do. What I want to do with straw bales, where on my southern fence, the southern side of our garden, I want to put some straw bales along there. It's a bit of a difficult area to look after between my compost bins. I'm going to put some straw bales there to use that up. One of the great advantages I found with doing straw bale gardening when I did it last year was the amount of compost that I actually got from it that made it all that more worthwhile. I don't think we're allowed to do it on the allotment, but I might try. Digwell says, get a scheme set up with your allotment committees, etc. That's not a bad idea, actually. That's not a bad idea at all. Turbo Stream, I need to make my allotment more productive next year. Also need to grow more of each thing to allow me to give more away. So talking of productivity, that's something I have said that I want to be or want to do next year. I'm fairly productive though. You know, most of my fruit and vegetables and herbs comes from our garden or our allotment. But I certainly want to be more productive. And I've always sort of said one of the things I try and do is that I have plants to go in when a bed is empty. So I always have something growing in beds. I never have empty beds. So there's always something growing in some of my garden beds, some of my vegetable beds. And that for me is one of the key things of being productive, is that we can harvest our food and then replace it pretty much straight away with more plants, more food to go in its place. Over on Instagram, Nutrition with D has joined. Welcome along. Lovely to see you. David asks, what is the cost for straw bale now? It depends. Mine are about £5 a bale, but it does depend where you get them from, etc., etc. They're pretty cheap, I think. When you think of the amount of compost you could get from it as well, they're pretty cheap. Rebecca has joined. Evening, Richard. Good evening to you. We're talking about your plans for 2025. I'd love to hear what your plans for 2025 are on your new allotment, Rebecca. Turbo Stream says, I wondered how a scheme would work on an allotment site. People come and go at all times of the day. It's something to figure out. Perhaps a thing on the gate that says when somebody's there. I don't know. Right, I turned that crap off, says Rob. Was the football that bad? Broad bean recipes for next week. Well, next week I've got an idea of what we're going to talk about, but we can do some broad bean recipes as well. Amanda has joined. Evening all. Thanks. Welcome along, Amanda. Lovely to see you. Hope you are well. £4 to £5 in the show, depending where you get it from. Talking about straw bales, that is. On Instagram, Sussex Seaballs has joined. Welcome along. Lovely to see you. give me a few ideas there, seed balls, actually. Turbo Stream, I need to work out a method of growing from seed. I struggle with that bit. Okay, let's elaborate on this, Turbo Stream. What is it you struggle with? What is the aspect that you struggle with from growing to seed? I like to think of my seed sowing as a production line. So I start them off in one area and they move along as they grow. Amanda says, evening all, thanks for the seeds and Christmas card, Richard. You are welcome. Thank you, of course, for being a supporting member. What have we got? David says, as I plan to grow them for the first time in years. What was that? Oh, broad beans. Broad beans. So lots of good things you can do. I'm sure Scott will come up with a few ideas. But we got lots of broad beans in our freezer still, actually. Food Forest Permaculture says, cheers, fellow Earthlings. Lovely live stream of Vegground Podcast. We'll see you again. Take care, buddy. Lovely to see you. Rob says, we was winning 2-0, and then when I turned, we were losing 2-4. It's a shame. It's a shame. Kate says, soft fruit area. Already have apple trees, 3 raised beds. I'll rotate of varying veggies. Lots of herbs at the front garden. I want to work on pond area and get plants in, including carnivorous. Good choice on the carnivorous plants. But I like the idea of building a soft fruit area. I think that is a great idea. I'm trying to think. I haven't really got any big projects in the pipeline for next year other than replacing one of my sheds. If I ordered a shed, because I keep forgetting to order and contact the company. But that's one of the things I really want to do next over the winter is replace my shed. But I just can't think of any big projects that I've really got for 2025 at the moment. This is why I'm hoping you guys might give me a few ideas. Over on Instagram, Annie Hart 3037 has joined, and Jules Garden 11 has joined. Welcome along, guys. Please do share with us your plans for your garden, your allotment in 2025. Rob says, I love growing from seed. I do too. I pretty much grow everything from seed nowadays. Turbo Stream says, growing seeds at home. I haven't the space. If I grow them in my garden, the slugs get there first. I struggle with modules and enough light. Okay, so slugs. There's several things you can do with slugs. I recommend, you see that lava light stuff. I probably should get it, actually. It might be easier. Or, actually, I can get this one, Shell and Earth as well. Put this on top of your seedlings, Shell and Earth or Lava Light. It becomes a bit of a rough area, so the slugs won't like it. That might be one option to stop the slugs. And again, it's natural and what have you. Other things, of course, removing the slugs when you see them. I know you recently had some, or your neighbours had some trees removed, which I think is going to give you a bit more light in your garden as well and be a little bit less muddy. Digwell says, speaking of clubs, Richard, my seeds arrived today. Sunday delivery. Yeah, I've seen the postman on a Sunday, but that's still 8 days. I post more than 8 days. Yeah, I'm glad you got them anyway. What have we got? Oh, yeah. Turbo Stream says, I haven't found a decent seed compost I can buy locally. I found Rocket Grow to be a good seed compost, but I don't know if that is what you've got locally to you, of course. I have to look into that. David says, I want to try the raspberry blackberry cross. Is it loganberry or jostaberry or something? Well, it could be loganberry or it could be tayberry, because they're a cross between raspberries and blackberries, if I'm not mistaken. I think jostaberry is a cross between a currant and a blackberry or something like that. I can't quite remember off the top of my head. Rob says, I haven't bought anything from Garden Centre or online for 5 years now. I grow everything from seed. The only thing I think I won't be growing from seed this year would be sweet potatoes, because I can never get sweet potatoes to grow from slips. No matter how many times I've tried, I cannot get sweet potatoes to grow from slips. So I'll probably buy those in to get those growing, because I do like sweet potatoes. I haven't grown them for a number of years actually, but we will look into that. Kate says there's a patio area we need to lay at the bottom of a garden. Last house owners put wood down and it fell apart, and it's growing mushrooms. It's a good sign if it's growing mushrooms. You know, I'd be worried if nothing was growing there, but the fact it's growing mushrooms is a good sign. Um, Over on Instagram, Junita Vicky25. Hello, I know who you are. Welcome along. Lovely to see you. Sadly, not edible mushrooms, though. Well, oh well. Thomas Strip says, I do best with a seed bed sown in rows to transplant. Leeks do well with this method. I think half the trouble is it's about getting the right conditions for your seeds. That's why I have heated propagators. That's why I start a lot of my plants indoors. The only things I really directly sow would be my root crops, carrots, potatoes, onions. I actually do start seeds off, but certainly carrots, potatoes, beetroot, they are planted straight in the ground. Rocket Grow. 2 of theirs came 13th and 14th in my 15 bags of compost trial. No root growth. Interesting. I found them for. I did trial as many composts as you, of course, but for seed compost, it's one that I had available locally that I would use, and that's why I tend to use it. There were other ones, but I found Rocket Grow to be one of the best. I'm trying to think of what I've got. A bag of compost which has got extra worm castings added to it. I'm trying to think of the manufacturer, but it's got something to do with urban worm. I've got 2 bags of Strolch so I can surround my transplants to give them the plant a chance. Strolch does, they say it works against slugs and snails. I don't know if anybody's used it and found it effective against slugs and snails. Chili Cake says, I've always sworn by Growshaw seed compost. Yeah, that's the stuff I actually used to use. I picked a bag up this weekend in B&M, or B&M Bargains or Home Bargains, one of the two, this afternoon, but it's not peat-free. That's why I started making a change. Because it's not peat-free, I wanted to see what was going to on offer that was going to be just as good. I definitely don't have the right conditions at home. Yeah. Nicholas joined. Sorry I'm late. Was up with a poorly old boy till 4 a.m. this morning, so crashed and slept this afternoon. So pleased I didn't miss it completely. Lovely to see you, Nicola. Hope you are well. Scott says, I want to test a few methods of dealing with cabbage white pigeons and other birds that I would have to not have to use netting, as it looks ugly and gets in the way. You know, I've had really good results with the I can't think what it's called now, but I spray it on. It's the calcium-based spray. It's perfectly natural. It's got pigeon and deer deterrent, and I can't think what it's called. They do a slug and snail deterrent as well, which worked well. I can't think what it's called. But other than that, old CDs. I found, cleaning out my loft, I found some old CDs. I don't actually have a CD player anymore, believe it or not. David says, any recommendations for a good set of grow lights, please? Not bonkers money, but a good set required. Mine actually came from IKEA, but I don't think they sell them anymore. Have a look on Amazon and see what's on there would be my advice, but I'll see if anybody else has it. Grazers, that's the stuff I was thinking of for the pigeon and black fly and all that sort of stuff, the deterrent. Grazers is the company. Really good stuff. And it actually worked quite well, I found. I would spray it on a weekly basis and it worked really, really well. Hate netting. I agree. I hate netting as well, but it has to be done where I am. Spider Farmer are great grow lights. And Turbo Stream says, I sowed some cauliflower seeds and some Jiffy 7s, and so far, after potting on into a sound tray, they are doing okay so far. I got a load of Jiffy 7s sent to me. I still haven't used them all up. Probably should start using those a bit more. Uh, Digwell says, I had to change the CDs dangling on my plot. The pigeons were getting to like my reggae. Oh, excellent, excellent, excellent. Yeah, I suddenly thought as I was clearing out my loft, oh, I could use these CDs in that to protect my plants. Now, I think this is a good time to have a quick break, and we'll go to one of the challenges that you sent me. The challenge, I can only get one challenge done again this week, but this was to show you me using my Jeremy seed trays and how I set them up. So let's get into it. Okay, so for this week's mission, you wanted me to show you these Jeremys in action. Coming out to the shed because it's quite stormy and windy outside. As you can see, I've already half built this Jeremy, these plastic seed starting trays. I've placed it in one of the other trays. And what they do, when they come together, they make these hexagonal, let's say hexagonal, little seed stations, which are great for sowing seeds. These have lasted a really long time. They go through the dishwasher, and I think they are fantastic. And they just simply go together, just simply by placing all the strips into the side support bars, and they go together like that. They don't take up a huge amount of space. This is a medium one, and as you can see, we get quite a few seeds in that. Now, all we're going to do next, fill this up with compost. Just liberally place it all over is what I say. I've got a little hack that I'll show you in a minute that will help make this a little bit easier. But as you can see, we just fill up this compost. I'm using seed sowing compost here, so it's quite a very fine compost. And all I do, I like to anyway, make sure they all fall up. And I just like to push each one down. Like so, just to make sure that they are fully, we can get a bit more, fully compacted in. Get a little bit more into that. Now, here is my hack. I've got a second tray that we're going to place over, and then we're going to take over to my over here. We just give it a bit of a shake to remove any of the excess compost. And when we come back here, take the lid off, well, voila! We could probably do a bit more compost in that area there. But there you go. What we don't now do, take our seeds. I'm going to sow some habanero chilies in these. Let's move it a little bit closer so you can see what I'm doing. If I can get the bag open, that is. But we just dip a hole and drop a seed in. Oh, drop that one there, and we repeat until we've filled this all up. And then, nice and easy, as I say, once they are, these are basically like plug plant starters. They're reusable, so once the seeds have germinated and are growing, we simply disassemble the germy in order to get the plug plant or the root ball out and pot it up into something a little bit bigger. It's very efficient. I actually think these are brilliant, I really do. I don't know if anybody else out there has used them. Let us know in the comments what you think of these, if you've used them and how successful they have been for you. I highly recommend getting the trays as well, because they just make life a little bit easier. Right, you don't need to see me sowing all these seeds, so I'm going to send you back to the studio while I finish off. So there we go. That was this week's mission. It was a second one, which was from a couple of weeks ago, but again, the storm haven't been able to do it. Is that mission accomplished or mission failed? You decide. Let me know your thoughts. And also, don't forget to set me a mission, a challenge for next week. Turbo Stream says the idea with starch is to surround a plant when it's transplanted to hopefully let the plant to grow to the size where the slugs don't eat the plant. During that video, I just went over and grabbed this, which is my Lava Light No Slugs. I have yet to test this out, but I believe this is going to be good stuff to use and scatter around your seedlings in order to prevent them from getting eaten by slugs. Just like the shell on earth as well. So two options there that might work for you. Dear Grail says best used on adult plants as the pigeon has to eat a few leaves to know it tastes bad. That's true with the grazer stuff. Seedlings do not have enough leaves to stand a few pigeons snacking. Yeah, that is true. That's why we wait until the plants are, a little bit bigger before we plant them out. Cheers, Rob. Only have the dangly bulbs at the moment, but willing to spend a few quid. We'll have a look. Talking about grow lights there. My grow lights were cheapies from China. I think around a tenner 3-4 years ago, but I've been very happy with them. I'm going to sneeze in a minute. I can feel it. Excuse me. What have we got? Digra says, good idea with the shaky. I just pick up my cells and tip the tray out. This is actually, it was the creator of them, Eric, who suggested using the two trays to do that, actually. And I dig well, you use the Jervis. Have you got the trays as well? Quick question to you. Annie Hart says, bless you. Thank you so much. Thank you. It's always annoying when I sneeze on camera. Chili Cat just checked. They were from eBay 2021 and $5.99. They've done well, haven't they? Kate says, I need some of those Jervis. They're great things. They really are great things. I'm quite impressed with them. I got them back in February. They're a new product. They're not... I don't think they're in shops or garden centres at the moment, but they're trying to get there. But you can buy them online. I wouldn't class them as cheap. They're about 20 quid a tray, but they are worth it. I reckon they are worth it. What have we got? Turbo Stream says, how much are those trays and sections you used? I don't know how much the trays are. But the sections themselves are 20 quid for each one. So small, medium, and large, 20 quid for each one. The small one probably isn't worth using. They're a bit too small unless you're doing some very small plants. But certainly the medium and the large are worth it. What I like about them is that they use a much smaller area the same amount of plants. If you're using, say, a plug plant tray, they use a smaller area for the same amount of plants. But at the same time, I think £20 is worth it. So, well worth it. Digra says, I have my own trays, so I declined the trays from Eric. Yeah. It was only when I was talking to him that he mentioned it, and I was like, oh, yeah, what a great idea. Bless him. I can't wait to see that guy again. He's such a lovely bloke, Eric. And the product, the Jervis themselves, are absolutely brilliant. Dickwell says, talking of the Jervis, yes, they are £20. I have 5 sets and used them nearly every week in 2024. Yeah, that's Jervis. Germie. They are brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Nicholas says Charles Downing trays are similar size for the roots. I've not really had a look at them, but I will on Charles Downing ones. But I think they take up a bit more space, the Charles Downing ones. They're probably the same size as a seed tray, in my understanding. These ones you can fit 2 trays in the same sort of space. Over on Instagram, Annie Hart says, I found the Grazers spelling an anti-slug spray really effective. Last resort as I was losing the will to grow after numerous slug attacks. Yeah, I found them really effective as well. It's a calcium as well, which I like because they're natural. They're not going to harm anything. They just make it unpalatable. And that's what I liked about Grazers. Um, spelt with a Z, just to clarify that as well. And I had some really, really good results with them. Well worth it, I think, the Grazers stuff. And it's one of those tools that I use all the time. So I'm glad, Annie, you have had the same sort of thing. Digwell says small ones are great for onions, lettuce, beetroot. Yeah, they are quite small, and you've got to really get on them because what I found with them, if the roots gets too long, the plant sort of stagnates, doesn't grow. So you've got to get on them quite early. Charles does half size trays. How many plants or how many plants do you fit in a half size? That's the thing I'm getting at. The small one on those Jermies are something like, I'm trying to think how many, 48, I think it is. Um, or was it 24? Something like that. Something like that. Anyway, let's get back into our plans for 2025. Anybody got any other plans, any big projects that they want to do in 2025? As I said, I don't have any projects, but my real goal is to try and produce. I'm going to really push the boat out and try and produce £8,000 worth of food in my allotment and my garden. £8,000 worth. It doesn't seem too difficult, but actually, it is quite hard to produce that much or that high amount of food from a garden and allotment. £8,000 is quite a chunk of cash to save in the supermarket as well. This is what we found when we've been growing our own. We're not needing to spend so much in supermarkets, so that when we can buy things that we can't produce, such as meat, we actually buy a real good organic, free range, top of the line meat, and that's why we tend to grow a lot of our own veg. My plans for 2025 is to hopefully keep healthy enough so I can get on the plot. I think we all want that. We should never disregard our health and how important it is to be healthy. As you know, I've been trying to lose weight at least recently, so I'm trying to look after myself um, a lot better for that same reason. I want to keep going for a long, long time. Digma says that the Jeremy sales measure 4 inches by 6 inches for 41 plants or 25 or 13. Yeah, you get a lot in a small space. No projects for 2025, just to improve my gardening technique and produce more crops. So, what's your way of measuring that, Turbo Stream? How are you going to be judging that, or is that based solely on your own perception? Nicholas says, I'm hoping to buy a commercial polytunnel. Good choice, good choice. I'm not a lover of polytunnels, but I have seen some out and about that have started to make me think about them. I have had a crap 2024 with my health. I think that goes for a lot of people. As you know, Amanda's mum has had cancer this year, and we've been fighting that, which is really, really hard work. We're getting there, though. We're getting there. But that's made us all think about our own health and just being strong and fit as well. He says, I need to exercise more. 2024 has been a bad year for health. Lots of niggles, including this sore neck. The thing we all got to remember, none of us are getting younger, and I actually do believe that health, or to be as healthy as you can, starts with good, high quality food, and that's what we're going to be doing: eating good, high quality food and going from there. Okay, I eat too much of it, I'll grant you that, but for me, I'm definitely, perhaps that should be something we do for 2025. Focus a lot on being healthy and using Grow Your Own. But I've said this for so many years now, using Grow Your Own to lose weight and be healthy. Um, what was the other thing I was thinking of as through that point? Um, Another thing. Yeah. Is anybody growing something in 2025 that they've never grown before? I think I asked this earlier. I am really struggling to think of something that I've never grown before, and I really want to find something like that. So, I, I guess you guys could challenge me a little bit here on this. What is it we could grow that we've never grown before? And should we all grow something as a group as well? I'd love to know. Love to hear your thoughts on that. Or have you got anything you've never grown before? What have we got? Da, 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 da. Rob says, yes, my hair. He's never grown his hair before. I'm sure that's not true. I'm sure you did grow hair at one point. Kate says, growing a lemon tree. Good choice there. Good choice. Are you growing your lemon tree from seed? Because I've done that a few times in the past, where I've taken a seed from a lemon that we've brought and I've grown it into trees. Never became productive, but I do. I went to a citrus nursery a few months back, and I really must pop back there and try and get them on the podcast because I do like citrus plants, which I think are great. She goes on to say, and the contents of my advent calendar. Kate's been sharing with us in the Facebook group the contents of her She Grows Veg advent calendar, which has been a good collection of seeds so far. Very, very interesting seeds at that. We're actually thinking of doing our own advent calendar for next year, but we've got to test a few things out for that. When I grow more the year before last, I lost weight and felt healthier. Absolutely. That's what we all want. I want to grow loofahs. I tried growing those once before, and they were pretty good, actually. They were really good. I liked that. Scott says, I'd love to grow a yuzu citrus tree. We were talking about this in our little chat the other day, actually. And yeah, yuzu. I've never heard of it before, but it seems very, very interesting. Kate says, I got a lemon tree from Jurassic Plants, also a strawberry tree. Oh, strawberry tea. That sounds interesting. I've had a little citrus tree from Jurassic Plants, but it still hasn't really grown much. It's very, very small still. I'm wondering what to do about it. Rebecca says, I'd love to have a go at growing stuff I haven't before. I started to look through the catalogues, but never grown mushrooms before. So maybe that. You know, if you do mushrooms, Rebecca, that would be great to see. We grew mushrooms earlier this year, actually, or my wife did, I should say. We grew oyster mushrooms. We got them from Gardener's World from the Caleb brothers, who are two girls who have set up a mushroom growing place. Their warehouse is actually on my stepbrother's farm. And that's been really successful, actually. I don't touch the stuff. That was for my wife. But yeah, mushrooms. That's a good one. Very good one. Douglas says, I'm growing oyster leaf plants. Seed packet in the fridge for a month at present, as advised on the packet. Oyster leaf plant. That's a good one. I think I tried that last year and never got there. Perhaps that's something I should try next year. Grow my own shower scrubber with a loofah, of course. Kim Kelly, I'm going to try and grow sweet potatoes. Never grown them before. So I found sweet potatoes do need quite a bit of warmth, but they also like lots of moisture. So lots of rich, organic, full soil in the ground. Leave them till the first frost when they die back and then dig them up. Also worth trying to grow the foliage upwards, but the foliage, the leaves, are edible as well. Stuart says, I would love to grow grapes and also a lemon or lime tree as my greenhouse stays frost-free most of the time. Good choices indeed. Annie on Facebook says, for ideas of what more unusual things are to grow, can I recommend A Taste of the Unexpected by Mark DeCanio? Recipes for alpine strawberries, blue honeysuckle, chili and guava, chervil, Szechuan pepper, etc., etc. Good choice. I haven't read that book, but I'll look into that. I'll look into that indeed. You need to grow sweet potatoes in a polytunnel in the UK. Not necessarily. I grew mine outside quite successfully, but you do need quite a bit of warmth. So I would actually look at growing them through black plastic now, after I've grown them a few times. Kate says, I'm also getting a mushroom growing kit. Excited about that. Good one thing. Good thing there. Also, team, don't forget to like. Yeah, please do give us a like. Please do give us a follow. Please do give us a subscribe. And don't forget to click the notifications so that you know when we go live. Where was that comment there? Andrew Norris has joined. Evening all. Had friends for lunch, so I'm a little late. What time is it where you are then, if you've just had them for lunch? Sorry, I'm not being rude. I've just been a bit ignorant there. Rob says, I've tried 3 times to grow sweet potatoes with nothing coming out. How did you grow them? How did you start them? Nicholas says, I bought some discarded mushroom compost, not commercially viable, mixed in with some fresh ages hardwood wood chip and had some limeade mushrooms. Lucky you. Lucky you. I think, actually, no, that's what we grow the lion's mane, because they're meant to be very healthy for you. Again, I couldn't touch them because of my allergy, so they were for the wife. Scott says, I didn't know sweet potatoes are edible. Where's that gone? I will have to try growing them now. Has anyone grown purple ones before? Yep, I've grown purple ones, yellow ones, orange ones. They all pretty much grow the same. I wouldn't say they're as good as what you can buy from a supermarket, not quite as big, but they were definitely worth it in my opinion. Andrew says we are 1 hour ahead. Oh, so it's coming up to 8 o'clock for you. My cooking was so good that the guests stayed for 6 hours. I can believe it. I'm sorry. Were you here last weekend? Actually, Andrew, I kind of forgot all about that and to pop along. Plants from DT Browns should have done better then. David says tromboncino are fun, Richard. I've never grown tromboncino, I don't think. Perhaps that's something I should try. Perhaps that's something I should try, tromboncino. Although it's just a type of squash. Digwell says, one thing I will not be growing in 2025 is acucha. Worse than kale, in my honest opinion. I remember you talking about that. Was it that bad? Was it tasted that bad, did it? Apparently, better taste young. God, they grow big. Tromboncino, yeah. I grow tromboncino every year. 1 meter long wonders. I'll have to look into that. I think that might be something we do. Trying cardoons this year, says Nathan. Cardoons. They're smaller versions of. I can't think what they are. I can picture them. We got one growing on my allotment. Got that? You eat the flower head. That's going to annoy me. That's going to annoy me, cardoons. I might give cardoons a go because we didn't like the one I can't think its name of. We found them to be a little bit fiddly to try and eat, but cardoons might be better. Something to think about, isn't it? Nicholas says, are sweet potatoes hungry feeders? I tried once. They are quite hungry. I did find them to be quite hungry, but I think they were worth it. They're awesome, aren't they? Digwell talking about tromboncino. Globe artichokes. That's it. Globe artichokes. That's the one I was thinking of. I just couldn't think of it. Yeah, there's smaller versions of that, as I understand it. But I wonder if they taste any different. Akucha. I've tasted nicer wet beer mats. Oh dear. How did your shark's fin do, Richard? I grew that last year, wasn't it? That was what I grew in 2023. The plant grew huge. Quite a nice, attractive plant. We actually grew a couple of shark's fin, but we didn't really find the taste that good. We didn't really like eating them. Okay, it was just a little bit like, well, what's the point with those? So we didn't bother again. I liked them for the foliage and the actual growing them, but not really what I would grow again um, in terms of Roxy. Anna says I might have to grow chickpeas. Never tried growing them before. Chickpeas are great. You do need a decent summer for chickpeas, is the only thing I would say. You do need a nice hot summer. You can grow them to the green stage where they are peas and they need eating straight away. But if you want chickpeas like what you can grow or buy from a supermarket, you need them to really dry out. You need a really good summer for that. But I'm definitely I'm gonna be growing chickpeas as well again. How hungry, drunk were you when you that you ate wet beer mats, Digwell? I did think of asking that. Yeah, yeah. Good question there, Digwell. How hungry or drunk were you that you ate wet beer mats? Rebecca says, I'd like to know what's the most popular veg you're giving up this year. For me, it's radish. We never eat them, so I've no idea why I keep growing them. Interesting. That's a very good question, Rebecca. Um, what is the popular vegetable that you're giving up and not bothering growing this year? I'm going to have to think of that because I can't think of anything. The only thing probably would be for me is the globe artichokes, um, because they are a little bit pointless for us. We just didn't like them. That's probably what it would be. Over on Instagram, Team Ararat has joined. But yeah, I'd love to know anybody else's answer to that as well. Popular veg that you're giving up this year. David Williams, he had them with a nice oh dear, Digwell. Chickpea in the polytunnel. I'd probably do okay in the polytunnel, actually. Probably do very well in the polytunnel chickpeas. So you do need a good, strong, hot summer, though. I nipped out to the loo in a pub, left my sandwich on the table, mate slipped the aforementioned wet beer mat into the sandwich, and the rest makes sense. Oh dear. That sounds like a, a great thing there. Oh dear. I suppose it's better than a kebab though, isn't it, at the end of the day? I had a real bad craving for a kebab the other day. I didn't get one, but I had a real bad craving for a kebab. Right, shall we? What shall we do now? I tell you what, should we go to the cook along? That would make sense, wouldn't it? This week, you wanted me to do a ratatouille, which was what we ended up talking about last week. And funny enough, I had a question in on the podcast about that same thing. Okay, so for this week's cook along, we're doing a very, very simple ratatouille, or my interpretation of ratatouille. So, for ingredients, we've got onion, garlic, got a couple of leaves of basil, we've got pepper, we've got some variety of herbs, chives and parsley, tomatoes, and we've also got some carrots and beetroot to throw in there. So, let's get into it, shall we? Okay, so just got a little bit of oil in the pan, and into this we're going to add onions and garlic just to spread it down a little. Get it cooking. Once they're soft, we'll add some more. Okay, so the onions and the garlic are looking nicely softened, so I'm just going to throw in tomatoes. I'm going to add a splash of water as well, just to get these tomatoes softened up and starting to make the base of the stew. I should say, this is my interpretation of a ratatouille. It may not be what everyone else does. Normally it includes courgettes and aubergines. I didn't have those at this moment in time. Look at this, that's starting to cook up really, really nicely. So what we're going to add now, good splash of red wine vinegar. I believe traditionally it's used red wine, but we don't drink. And then I'm just going to throw in peppers, beetroot, carrots, and a mix of herbs. These are chives and parsley. I've gone quite herby with this today just to make it a little bit interesting. And what we'll do, we'll let this slowly cook, probably take an hour or two on a real slow heat, and then we'll see what it tastes like back in the studio. Indeed. So this is just a small little bowl that I have prepared to taste and see what it tastes like here. Um, for me, ratatouille is just a vegetable stew, bit of a thing we can just add to as a bit of a serving side dish. That's lovely. That's really lovely. Flavours of that are amazing. That parsley has really brought out a lot of flavour. And those carrots and everything. Oh God, those carrots are good. I harvested those carrots literally just before cooking, so they're full of flavour. Mm, mm. Sorry, I hate eating on camera at the same time. That's really nice. Really like ratatouille there. Scott says, I stopped growing radish. They seem to be a one-way ticket for heartburn for me. Interesting. Couple of people not bothering with radish. I like radish personally, but everyone's different at the end of the day. Team Ararat says, how many do you chill plant do grow? I got 35. I think what he's asking there, how many chili plants do you grow? Good question to ask. He's grown 35 and he's grown lots of chilies. What's the hottest chili to eat? Well, the hottest chili changes every year, but I'm growing about 11 different varieties of chilies. But how many plants we will get at the end of the day, I don't know. We try and make as many as we can when it comes to chilies. Nicola says rocket. She gave up with that. Good answer. Digger, I agree with globe artichokes. A lot of space taken up for very fiddly food. Yeah. I don't know what it is about globe artichokes, but people rave about them. I just couldn't get on with them. Globe artichokes are very fiddly. I used to cook them whole, but got loads of what I think were aphids in them in the past couple of years, and I couldn't wash them out. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. I have what's in stew in the slow cooker at the present. What's in the fridge? Beef, carrot, swede, onion, mushroom, aubergine, celery, pulses, collie, spreads, dumplings later. Yep, I'm with you on that. We do that quite often because it's a nice way just to cook some stuff up. Was that homegrown herbs, Richard? Yeah, of course. All my herbs are homegrown. Parsley, chives, they're in my veggie pods, so they're still growing quite well. Chili X is the hottest in the world for Team Ararat, asking about the chili. Chili X. And Kate says, ask Digwell about the hottest chili. I remember that video. Anna Jones says, a cardoon is a much better idea. They look beautiful in a border. I'm actually going to try cardoons this year. I think we can grow those from seed, actually. David says, never tried an aubergine before, nor moussaka, so I want to try both in 25. Yeah, aubergines, south-facing wall, I think you need. But moussaka, if you never had moussaka, you're missing out. I do like moussaka. We have that quite often here, actually. No chilies for me, can't eat them, says Nicola. And Digwell says, radish is usually sown as a crop marker for me. Yeah, I mean, I like radishes. And I try and grow just a small row every week. But we probably go through, I don't know, 10 radishes a week in the summer. But we like them. And I like the spice of them. I like the flavour, etc., etc. So for me, we do grow a lot of radishes. I cannot think of... Digwell says to Kate, I can go off people with her comment earlier about chilies. I can only think of the globe artichoke as an example of something I'm gonna give up with. But I cannot kill off that plant. No matter what I do, that plant keeps growing. I guess all I've got to do is keep hoeing it, and eventually it will die. Make sure it doesn't photosynthesize. So that's probably something we should think about to get rid of that globe artichoke. As in architecturally, it is a nice plant, and I think the cardoons look just as good. A chef told me that on cardoons you can actually eat the stems as well, but I don't know on that. Rob says, I love aubergine, but June don't, so we don't have it. I'm guessing June is your partner there. Scott says, after having good success with outdoor tomatoes this year, I'm going to dedicate the greenhouse to chilies and aubergines only next year. Good idea. Good idea. Just, excuse me, just remember, they need a lot of warmth to be successful. Oh, excuse me, sorry. As Chili Kate and Chili Phil will attest to. Digwell says, aubergines grow in pots for me, south-facing but not sheltered. I think that does make a big difference. Kate sending Digwell a kiss after that comment. Dig it up and give it to me, Richard. If you can dig it up, it's yours. It's almost impossible. I've tried digging it up before. It just won't come out the ground. Hello, everybody. Idaho Garden Girl has joined. Welcome along. Lovely to see you. Hope you are well. We're talking about what your plans are for 2025. Over on Instagram, Plot52 has joined. Anna's fantastic. Anna says, yes, you can boil the stems of cardoons. You know what? That has made the decision for me. Cardoons is something we've never grown before. We're going to grow that in 2025. That's made it nice and easy for me this week. Or for 2025. Thank you. This is why I say sometimes just chat to you guys gives me the inspiration, gives me the ideas that I need to move forward. Team Ararat says, where are you in the UK? I'm on the south coast. I'm near Brighton, in West Sussex, between Brighton and Portsmouth, I guess you could say. There we go. Right, where have we got? A lot of people saying hello to Idaho. Nothing else coming in. So I guess the final thing to really finalise this chat tonight, we have got the photos to go through. But don't forget, I need a mission that you can set me for next week and a cook-along. And next week, I think we're going to be talking about Christmas dinner, cooking Christmas dinner tips and tricks. And I'm slightly off topic, but I think it's going to be a good conversation. The week after that, which by my calculations is a Sunday before Christmas, we're doing our Christmas quiz. Anybody wants to film a video asking the question? I've got the questions all prepared. I know Digwell's going to do one. Get in touch and let me know if you're prepared to do that. But yeah, next week I thought we could talk about cooking Christmas dinner tips and tricks. But yeah, my final question is, what do you really want to accomplish next year? For me, I want to be, I think I said this earlier, I'm going to aim to try and grow £8,000 worth of food. £8,000 worth of food in my garden and my allotment. Easy done. Easy. Well, I say easy done. We're about 6,500 this year at the moment, and it hasn't been a great year. But this year's been better than last year. Every year we seem to get better and better. But what do you want to accomplish next year? What is it you really want to accomplish or complete or do? Anything like that, let us know in the comments. I know I've thrown a lot of questions your way in that last few minutes, but I want lots of ideas that you could suggest or throw my way. Don't forget, this live stream is all about you. David says £8,000 worth. I'll be happy with £8. £8 is pretty easy to to hit. Really, what I tend to do, because I grow a lot of salad leaves um, every week. I'm pretty much harvesting salad leaves. So every week I allow a pound's worth for salad leaf. So I'm already at £52 for next year, unless there's a week that we don't grow salad leaf or salad crops. That ain't going to happen. That ain't going to happen because we've got it down to a great tea. Rob says he would love to achieve growing cauliflowers. Interesting. What an interesting one, because a lot of people do have problems growing cauliflowers. I've always said it is one of the hardest vegetables to grow. Team Ararat says I will grow the X pepper. Ooh, good one. I'd love to see how hot that is. Let us know how you get on with that. Cooking challenge, something with the sprout tops. I could do that. I could do some of that. Scott, come up with a recipe for me, or sprout tops. Okay, we'll do that for next week. Idaho says, "What a great goal, Richard. Thank you. I do think it helps to have a good goal. Transform my Lottie and preserve more. Good choice. Preserving actually something I need to do more of. Jams, chutneys, etc. 10-inch pots, each Black Beauty plant gives me 4, 5, 6 fruits. My last one outside still has 4 on it, and I am looking for a green aubergine recipes." Yeah, I'm with you. I do like my aubergines. Andrew says, I want to soften my soil in the veg garden. I tried putting down my multi-cultivator on the garden, but the blades would only go down 5 to 8 centimetres. I'm going to have to dig by hand to loosen the soil. Or just lay compost and manure on top and let the worms do it for you, as a suggestion from me. Nicholas says, how do you price your veg and do you weigh everything? Vegetables are expensive when organic. So what I tend to do, I weigh everything, and I weigh everything, and then I work out how much that would cost me if I was to buy it from an economy. Most of my vegetable, I do try and grow organically, or I do grow organically. There's no try about it. But I have not applied to be an organic certified farmer. So therefore, I don't feel it's right to compare my produce to an organic price. But I do take the two prices, but the prices I base it on is on an economy price. So, Tesco's value, for example, is what I compare my prices to. If it was the gourmet food, the farm shop food, that would be easy. But we want to do it on the economy prices because we don't have organic certification. X pepper, I wouldn't like to taste that, and I love my chilies. Well, some people are pretty solid on that. Just pile on compost and let the worms, etc., do the work for you. To Andrew, absolutely. Nicholas says stuffed sprout tops. I'm sure we can come up with something. It'd be almost like a spring greens, wouldn't it? I'm guessing. Andrew, that is a good strategy, Digwell. I just need to accumulate enough compost. That's always the problem. I always think this is one of the reasons I love having chickens, actually, because chickens provide us with manure and bedding, which helps add plenty of stuff to our compost bins, along with anything organic matter or anything like that we need to produce. I was just written a piece for Thompson and Morgan, funnily enough, for their blog, and I said that we compost everything in order to save money, including old underwear, just to produce enough compost. Digwell says, I weigh all my crops very roughly and I compare mine to the average prices. Kind of what I do. I mean, I tend to go look up the price in Tesco's and compare it to that. Team Ararat, have you ever used alpaca muck? It's good stuff. I haven't used it myself because I haven't got a supply of it, but I do hear it is good stuff. We'll try it one day. We'll try it one day if I can get hold of it. Some are worth growing, some are not, but it's not about all about the savings. No, it's not about the savings. It's just a target to try and grow that much food. For me, it's more about the fact that we are growing organically. We know where our food is came from. I'm in control of it, and we got food security. I compare with Aldi. I mean, there's not much in it these days, I don't think. Gary says, just for fun, why don't you post a reference table of your prices so we can compare our harvests? Not sure if people would like a league table or not. I used to actually put that on the website, and perhaps I should do that in 2025. It was just the trouble. Oh, it was a blog post each week. The trouble I had, it was like so many things, sitting down and writing all these things. I'm a talker. I talk about things. Writing things up was pretty difficult, but I probably could do that on the website. Perhaps we should. I'm trying to get the forums back up and working. Perhaps we could have a forum going for that conversation. Cook the leaves to soften them, then stuff with mixed veg or minced veg. Yeah, um, like that, Gary. Like that, Gary. Yeah, that's something we can look at. We'll find a sprout recipe, sprout top recipe to find it with. David says, I love my homegrown spuds. Don't care if they are 50% less in the supermarkets. Absolutely. It's more about the flavour, isn't it? As I said, when I ate that carrot that was in the ratatouille, that carrot was full of flavour. And literally a few hours ago, that was still growing in my garden. And it was full of flavour. Absolutely. Absolutely. Totally with you on that. Right, so we've got just under 15 minutes to go tonight. We've worked out the recipe for next week. Are you guys okay talking about your Christmas dinner hacks or talking about um, what we can or cooking on Christmas Day, how we can make it easier for everybody? Is that okay for next week's topic? Rebecca says, maybe a challenge this week could be name your garden or allotment and come up with a mission statement. Like it. Like it. I haven't got my secretary here tonight. By the way, Jenny apologizes. The storm has killed her router. That's why she's not here tonight, but she says to say hello to everyone. Yeah, I like that, Rebecca. I like that a lot. I think we'll do that. Digwell says pepper X seeds are not available to purchase. Probably never will be after they lost so much money with the Caroline Reaper. Well. Oh well. We'll see. We'll see what happens. It's something to look forward to or look into, isn't it? Homegrown spuds are the best with oodles of butter. Yeah, totally with you. Totally with you on that. Well, sorry. There is another. Rob says there is another chili Y coming soon. Interesting. Interesting. Where are we? Scott says all about the flavour for me. I have tried some of the best produce you can buy from suppliers. None beat my homegrown for taste. Funny enough, that's what I say as well. I compare our homegrown produce to what you would get from a farm shop. It's, I think, that high quality, and certainly, I think that high price. I think farm shops do tend to charge a premium for their veg, but it's so much better, isn't it? But our homegrown stuff, I think, is up there with farm shop quality food, in my opinion. I don't know how best or what else I can compare it with, because I think farm shop is really at the top tier of food. David says, name of the Reaper should have warned them. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I used to be able to really take on or tackle a lot of hot stuff. I don't have quite that ability anymore. I mean, I like a little bit of heat. I'm more about the flavour these days. But I used to really like my hot chilies, but I haven't been able to tackle them lately. But we'll see what happens. Oh, I better not forget these. We've got your photos to go through as well. And I think we always like going through your photos. Is this the one I want? I keep doing this. I should have set this up on when it was on the other screen. There we go. So these are your photos that you have been sharing with us, which we always love seeing your photos. We haven't got many this week, so we would really like to see lots more photos, if you please. I know it's difficult to get out there and take photos at the moment because the weather's not great, but we would love to see some photos. Philly Storm has, no, sorry, the Philly's storm damaged polytunnel. As you can see, it's not looking great, is it? I think, if I remember correctly, there was a new skin god on this recently, but the storm damage has ripped it to shreds. It'll recover. It will recover, I'm sure. Now, we spoke about this earlier. Kate has been sharing the first weeks of her She Grows Veg advent calendar. This is what she got for the first 8 days. There's a tomato. I can't quite see what it is. There's some mustard. There's some onions, flat onions at that. Swiss chard, pumpkins, carrots, purple sprouted broccoli, and runner beans. So some great choices there indeed. We got some plans for next year. Stephen, his sense of humour. Did you put coffee grounds in the compost? A man is asking his wife, and she says yes. Why? As the plants are running around like the little children, high on coffee. Talking of coffee. Now, Steve Digwell has got a new toy I've seen. There's a video in our group of a trial run with it, which I'm not going to spoil it for everyone, but if you want to go and check it out, please do. But he took this aerial shot of his plot. I always love an aerial shot, actually. I think when you look at it from above, it gives you a really good perspective of what's going on. Now, Kate has been treated to a pumpkin pizza. This used pumpkin base instead of tomatoes, which I've done before myself, and it's absolutely delicious. Great way of using up some good pumpkins or squashes that you might have lots of instead of tomatoes. And in fact, it's probably worth making a load of pizza sauce up using a pumpkin or something and keeping it in the freezer. Now, please do keep sharing your photos. You can post them in our Facebook group, send to me via social media, or email me, richard@theveggroundpodcast.co.uk. We do love seeing your photos. We really do. Team Ararat says, what carrots do I grow? Sweet candle, they are delicious. Sweet candle are one of the most popular, most sweetest. Oh, hang on. Can you see me? Oh, that's what I needed to do. Sorry. I can't see what's going on. Sweet candle are one of the most popular, one of the most sweetest ones. I don't really have a favourite carrot. It's just whatever works for me. There we go. I can see what's going on now. But everybody's different. Everybody is. Oh, hang on. Can you see me? Can you see me? Something weird going on here. Let me know if you can see me and hear me. I'm just going to quickly scan through the comments to see what's going on. Yep, you can. Sorry, something weird's going up. It's not coming up on my screen. Sorry. Right, where were we? Where were we with the comments? Where were we? Oh, we were there. Right. I'm sure they. Oh, the conversation. Digwell says, never seen any chef recommended one garlic over another for everyday cooking. That's a good point, actually. See and hear. Everyone can see and hear. Thank you, Annie, Team Ararat, and Annie. Thank you. Right Honourable Joseph Blogs has joined as well. But yeah, Digwell, nobody has ever recommended any particular type of garlic over another. I think garlic, it depends on what grows best in your garden, doesn't it? Danny Sling, cost doesn't really concern me. It's a pride in coming home with food from the allotment. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I do agree. I just want to be able to produce enough or that much food to sort of say this makes it worthwhile. It's to encourage people to do it. Exactamundo. David says, "Oh, those flat onions look like donuts. They do actually, don't they?" I might give those a try one day. Actually, uh, Rob says, "If I added up how much I spend in a year and how much I get out of it, I used to do that. I did used to do that. And I think that's a good thing to do. Actually, work out how much you spend to find out what you spend the most money on. Because what I spent the most money on was compost. I don't do it anymore, but what I realized I spent most money on was compost. So that gave me the opportunity to look at trying to reduce how much compost we were buying in or save money on that. Scott says, love that aerial shot. I do love a good aerial shot. Idaho says, I like aerial pics of gardens. Help me understand layout, orientation to the compass and sun, plant spacing, etc., etc. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm totally with you on that. Nicholas says, I'm so hoping to buy a freeze dryer this year. Wanted one for ages. Excellent. Yeah, freeze dryer. Not cheap, but they're worth it. Rob says, our favourite carrot is stromboli. A lot of people saying, yep, you can see. Sadly, yes, you can still see me. Sorry, the comments have disappeared out of. Let me see. Oh, hang on. No, I can't see it. I can't see what's going on there. I'm not coming up on my screen, so it's hard to tell. Anna Jones says, sugar snacks is my favourite. Douglas says, I can see you, but my ears hear you a second later. I thought I had. I thought I'd changed the frame rate and things like that. My garlic is always small. Any suggestions? Plant your garlic deeper is my suggestion. You want to go for about 10 centimeters deep to get good garlic. That's what I've learned over the years. 10 centimeters seems to get a bigger, better bulb. Good mulch and compost as well. Idaho says, I've read descriptions of garlic varieties, hard-necked, soft-necked, racambole, mild flavour, hearty flavour, hot flavour, keeps only a month, keeps 4 to 6 months, etc., etc. I always think I try and grow different varieties of garlic. I just find the right garlic for me and continue growing it. I do try and grow several different varieties though, so it works for me. It's hard to make a choice, says Idaho. It is hard. It is hard to make a choice, but there's so many, or certainly here in the UK anyway, there's so many different varieties that we can choose from and test out and see what works and what doesn't work before we get what we want. And that's why I grow very early white, cork white, Rhapsody white, Germador, which isn't great. Casablanca also isn't great. And I've got some new varieties. I can't remember what they are off the top of my head. Oh, and elephant garlic. Most important, elephant garlic. Right, so we are approaching the end of the show tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it. So next week, we're going to be talking about Christmas dinner. What I want from you guys is just to share your tips on cooking that Christmas dinner, because it's all coming up to that day. And I'm the cook in my household. I'm cooking for quite a few people this year. And I've got to do the turkey, which I love doing, potatoes and all the veg and everything, which we've got underhand. But I'd love to get some tips from you on how we can make it that much easier, that much successful, and that much or taste that much better. You know, this is a vegetable gardening podcast, vegetable gardening podcast chat, but I think this is a good one to talk about as well. Degrell says, and we pick the one we like from our area, then the weather changes. That's true. That is true. Have a good weekend, everyone. David says, to complement my already sown ones, week even, says Scott, indeed. So the challenge for next week is to come up with a mission statement and things like that to name the allotment and what have you. And what else have we got to do? Oh, the sprout tops. I've got to try and write that down in just a moment. Anyway, it is 7:30. It is time to go. Get out of here. And we'll be back again next Sunday at 6, where we will do it all over again. Thanks so much for joining me. Please do send your photos in. Please do send in anything you want to add next week. Right, guys, you take care. Speak to you again next time.